Hey YouTube, O'Doyle the Gamer here. This is part 7 of my playthrough of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and this will actually be the last playthrough of this game. Just kind of quick recap, we just finished the tanker portion of the game where we finally figured out what the whole story was with Mia and what actually caused this incident. I'll kind of review as we get underway. But now we have been tasked with making our way back to find Evelyn and administering the toxin to destroy her and her mold so no one else falls in danger. So let's get started. Alright, so we had just picked up a radio transmission that there was a rescue team at the Baker residence. So we'll kind of start making our way this way. Just kind of looking around here, seeing exactly if I've got any, if there's anything I can pick up along the way. So I believe we found a document on the ship that, back on the big tanker, that there was a reference to the salt mine. This is actually where we're heading when we get up to that elevator. We're actually going to head into the salt mines that were mentioned in that document. Oh, he just came out of nowhere. Alright, I think he's dead. So I'm going to look around up here for a few minutes before we actually descend down into the mine. I want to pick up as much ammunition and health items as possible before we begin our descent. So just kind of recapping a little bit of what we know up till now, that Mia was part of a organization that had been researching bioweapons, and one of the weapons they had developed was Evelyn out of a suspicious mold that had been found. Rival organizations had found out about the Evelyn project and sought to seize it, so the organization that Mia worked for decided we need to move Evelyn to a new base of operation, and that's why Mia was on that tanker, and that is also why she lied to Ethan. Ethan didn't know that she worked for a secret organization that had been doing research on bioweapons. So, as they were starting to leave leave the United States aboard that tanker, Evelyn goes active and begins turning the entire ship into these molded monsters. The protocol was that if she got out of that if it got to the point where her handlers couldn't control the situation, they were to terminate her. But before Mia could inject the the toxic antibody that they had developed, Evelyn had destroyed the ship, launching her and Mia into the swamp. And that's when they were found by Jack Baker, not realizing that Evelyn was a bioweapon and just a stranded little girl. Jack takes her back to the safety of his home, and there she begins to infect the Baker family. A little molded hair coming out, so let's take care of them. Pick up some more ammo. There we go. I think that should be everything. I don't think this mine is as scary as, let's say, the tanker, but even the tanker I kind of thought um, wasn't as scary as wandering through the old plantation with the bakers chasing you. So I really think the back end of this game is really, I mean, I think Capcom really could have done more, but obviously the point of interest in the whole game was really the development of Jack Baker and, to an extent, Marguerite. I don't think they put nearly as much effort into her as they did Jack. But obviously, those were the two areas of focus. Oh, here's some more of them. I only got them. Alright. See what he. Alright, so let's push this and. Look around and see what. Alright. Obviously, this is Lucas's hideout because we see all these bombs that have been set up to keep people out. Let's. Had that one rigged up. So let's. Thanks to you guys, it's been about a week since my head's been clear and back to normal, and she still thinks she's got me. You guys really need to work on fixing that. Not only does she look like a little kid, but she's about as stupid as one too. Mom and Dad are still totally under, though. I was wondering, is this whole family obsession something you guys programmed into her? That's kinda effed up. That bitch Mia is still somewhere in between Evie La La Land and reality. She gets pretty violent, so I locked her up in a cell. I thought maybe Evelyn would get mad since Mia's her favorite and all, but she doesn't seem to care. She actually goes and visits her sometime. She thinks Mia's her mommy. Like I said, your bioweapon is effed up. Evelyn's family obsession is getting out of hand. She's making everyone kidnap more and more assholes off the street and add to her freak show of a family. Maybe she's getting tired of Mia not coming around, but it's a pain in the ass for me because I gotta clean up the mess whenever someone new comes along. By the way, Evie's looking sick or something. Her skin is getting all wrinkly and she's getting gray hairs. Is that supposed to happen? It's almost like she's getting. Alright, so this is Lucas. So Lucas had stumbled across this lab, and the people who had been operating here and researching Evelyn had actually taken the time to go on and cure him of his mold that Evelyn infected him with. So Lucas was actually free of the mind control of Evelyn. And is now working for this organization. Although Lucas still has a lot of the strength and regenerative abilities that from his infection with the mold, the mind control portion that drove Jack and Marguerite insane does not apply to him. So his craziness is his insanity is insanity he had well before the infection. If you go back and read some of the stuff about locking kids up in the attic and just enjoying the suffering of others, even if we go back to the very first video, there was when we had Clancy, Pete, and Andre exploring the house, there was a mention that Lucas was a little bit of a troublemaker. So we kind of know that he was more of a problem than just being infected with Evelyn's mold. So obviously this is all pictures of the experiments they did with Evelyn and her effect on people. And it looks like this right here is the destroy cells of any subject based on the E-Series bioweapon model. Used for only disposal of E-Series assets, toxin must first be stimulated before use. Do this by placing sample of E-Series. Alright. So basically we're going to create the stuff that Zoe made earlier that we used on Jack in that big boss fight, and what we used to cure Mia. And we're going to inject this into Evelyn to destroy her. This project was instigated in 2000 as one of several concepts for the company's NextBris, Next Generation Experimental Battlefield Superiority initiative, working with technical assistance from HCF to develop a bioweapon for neutralizing combatants en masse with minimal direct contact. What makes this project markedly different from conventional weapons is its ability to turn enemy combatants into allies. Since this effectively eliminates the cost of not only POW handling, but also combat itself, it's no wonder we had the blank and even organizations chomping at the bit to get on board. The project would have never existed were it not for the discovery of remarkably progressed Vicariant evolution fungus that we commonly term the Mutamicrate. The fabrication method for each bioweapon was introduced. A pre-stage 4 human embryo performed ultimate. The resultant organisms were referred as candidate specimen and graded based on usability from the impractical and faulty. A common appearance was selected for the bioweapons, that of a roughly 10-year-old girl to ensure ease of blending in with urban. The first, named Evelyn, was proven capable of secreting from her tissue at will. It is also of note that Evelyn's imposed a profound control over body and mind when introduced into a host organism. We still have a lot to learn about the mechanism by which Evelyn achieves and maintains this control, but the working theory is that the vernacular is Evelyn's control is exerted in a series of discrete stages, the first of which is hallucination. Almost immediately after infection, the subject begins to see images of Evelyn, though she is not in fact there, and even hear her voice, which is inaudible to anyone else. Auditions with infected subjects throughout the stages of infection reveal that at first, the phantom Evelyn appears to be a normal young girl, sometimes desiring companionship or assistance. As time progresses, she begins making more and more extreme demands, including self-mutilation and attacks on other people. The psychological shock this induces helps to break down the mind's natural barriers to Evelyn's brainwashing effect. And by the time mental control is achieved, the infection has progressed throughout the body's cells, so the body... Alright, so that's a little more of a... It's a little more of a... Alright, let's see what this is. Evelyn's functions also include the ability to form organisms from and fungal. Researchers have been calling these superorganisms the molded, made of mold, and also molded as in shaped. The name has a certain elegance to it. Okay, let's see. Kind of reading over, make sure I. The term organ for treatment of accidental infections, performing blank on samples of Evelyn's body tissue produces a unique fungicidal serum. Administering the serum to an infected subject will cause to calcify, but if the subject's cells are already largely invaded, the serum will be fatal. Since the treatment window is so small, the serum's primary use is therefore disposal of infected subjects rather than a cure. Exploring the serum's potential, we found that subjecting it to would enhance its effects to extreme potency, becoming a compound we call necrotoxin. It's been interesting to observe Evelyn's behavior is her obsession with the concept of family. In experiments, we found on multiple occasions that infected subjects were compelled to act as her mother or father, treating her as if she were really their daughter. Why did she settle up on family as the same for her mental control? This is just speculation. It could be that she instinctively understands that a family unit is better suited to blending into social groups than a lone girl. On the other hand, well, a sentimental sort might suggest that she's making up for a perceived lack of love in her quarantined upbringing, a parent's love. Excuse me. So, basically, these are the notes of what. Those are the notes, kind of detailing how Evelyn was developed, what they observed, what the symptoms are. So, all right. All right, so we have the serum. Now's our time to start making our way back toward. Start making our way a little deeper into the mines. Alright, I think I'm going to head back to the save room real quick and I don't think I need that burner fuel, so and I've got plenty of health, so I better go on and put some of this back. Excuse me again. I don't need the burner fuel and don't need those bombs. Say that. Alright, so alright, so it looks like we're kind of now back in out of the mine and now more in a cave. Of course, we are starting to hear Evelyn laughing. And going back and reading those notes, so it's obvious that Ethan here is infected because he's seeing he's hallucinating Evelyn. Although I don't think it's as severe right now as Jack or Marguerite right now. Better keep my shotgun available because I think we're going to be running into a lot of enemies between here and our destination. Alright, I think that's everybody. Make sure I'm loaded up and take burner fuel. Alright, nothing. Shoot him while he's down. Alright, I think I got him. Another bomb. So, there we go. One thing I like about the shotgun, if you get them up close and get them in the head, it'll blow their heads off. Alright. Alright. And here are some pukers again. Pukers. Alright. I think I've got him down. Nope, not yet. Alright. Ah. Should have waited till he blew up before I really started going to explore. Alright. Head on up this ladder. Alright. Slide in here. Alright. And here we are. We're back at the Baker plantation. Now we're starting to have flashbacks to the beginning of the game. We remember Mia saying there was a door down here. I'm curious if we could kind of head back toward the cell area. So there's Evelyn. So it looks like the old lady was Evelyn all along. So here we are, we're back up. Here's there's the struggle we had earlier in the game. Here's Evelyn kind of hallucinating with us, trying to give us hallucinations. She is again. Go in here and is there anything? This room's changed a lot since we were last here. And this is kind of giving us an illustration of how Evelyn gets into our mind, because as you can kind of tell her, she's telling Mia, here's what I want you to do to him. Oh, it's supposed to be right here. Back down this way. I missed something. Oh, there she is. Oh. So we can kind of see how she's using Mia to hallucinate. So, alright, so now it's time to head up and let's finish this. The object here is just kind of use the block when she starts using the wind to try to push you back, and just walk when she stops. Use the run to kind of cover as much ground as possible. There we go. Oh, got her. So as we can see, there's the old lady that just appeared at random places throughout the entire game. She was Evelyn all along. So apparently because she wasn't closely monitored once she began infecting everybody, she began to rapidly deteriorate, which caused her to age, which is something we noticed that Lucas made note of earlier in that document we found. So now the injection hasn't completely killed her, but she is in a weakened state. And here comes the rescue team. So let's just keep shooting at the head. Ouch. Just keep aiming at her head and just watch the vines coming. Or those kind of spiky arms. There we go. She dropped us. Whoever's in the helicopter is telling us to grab that gun and use it. And there we go. Helen has been destroyed. Alright. So I kept saying that there was a character that we were going to come across later in the game. So you can see the rescue team is deploying, and we're about ready to encounter that particular character now. And it's Chris Redfield. So, one of the biggest, some of the biggest, a lot of game critics kind of criticize Chris's appearance in this game, especially when compared to the others. The developers of the game kind of thought that that Chris's previous characterizations didn't mesh well with the flow of this game and mesh well with the RE engine. So that's why they really toned him down and changed up some of his characteristics. So this is how this game. So Chris is actually how this game ties into the other games. Of course, we just noticed there as he was on that helicopter that Mia had been rescued. Umbrella Corporation. So Chris is now working for Umbrella, who have been really kind of the de facto antagonist throughout the entire series. So, to find out what happened to Lucas, we actually have to play Chris in the Not a Hero campaign, which is a downloadable content campaign that you can download. However, this will conclude Resident Evil 7. In the future, I might actually do a playthrough of Not a Hero, but that will be down the road. I'm actually thinking my next playthrough is going to be the Resident Evil 3 remake. But that is it for Resident Evil 7. Thank you all so much for watching, and just please click subscribe and thumbs up the video. And I'll see you all next time.